You're gonna go on when the song finishes.
Need to get one of the old tin can style things. I can sing Man of Constant Sorrow. Man of Constant. Everybody come in here and sign these here papers.
Close enough. Actually got a bumper this time.
Awesome. I like this one.
95.9 KCKL. Hey there, everyone. I'm John, and I am here with the guys from Caldwell Banker, Brett and Shai. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Always great. Thank you, John.
No problem.
All right, so Brett, what do you got to talk about this week?
Good morning. Today we want to talk about ways that your realtor and your local vendors can help you sell your home. We spoke to you a few weeks ago about the buying process, and both on the buying side and the selling side, it is a process. A lot of sellers don't understand how important that process is from their side as well. So there's a few things that we think we could break down from the buyer side to help you understand what they're looking for when you go to sell your home.
So it's a process and a team effort combined together.
Yes, sir. There's a lot of team involved in this one. A lot of different lenders and moving parts get involved in every step of the process of selling your home. Okay. One of your first ones is, as always, locating a great local Caldwell Banker realtor to help you with this process, to help you get it started, help you get it on the market. And one of your first things that you're going to encounter is when you start to receive these offers, you have to start looking at your price from the standpoint of the lending. Does your price fit in appropriately to what your buyer's lender is going to be willing to lend for your home?
So even if by chance you find a buyer out there that wants to pay the price you're wanting, you're asking, you're needing for your house, that doesn't necessarily mean that a lender is going to give that money?
There's a good chance that they will give and will lend no matter what the price. But let's just take, for example, you've got a $300,000 home and you want to get $400,000 out of this home. Now, there are certain instances where a buyer will be a cash buyer and be willing to purchase your home for whatever reason, sentimental, good location, job, different things. But most of the time, there is going to be lending involved. And if you're not at a price that is comparable to what the lenders are willing to lend on the home, then there could be a discrepancy and a difference to be made up there. So your $300,000 home that's listed at $400,000, if the lender is only willing to lend $300,000 on the home, somebody's going to have to make up this difference.
So who makes up that difference? Does the buyer have to pay more money, or do I have to come down in price? Or how does that work?
Well, as everything in the home buying process, this is negotiable. But most of the time, the buyer is going to be making pretty close to their best offer right off the bat. And so, in this instance, maybe not willing to come up another 33% on your home. And from a seller's standpoint, you don't want to have to come down. You want to get the most money for your home, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily that you are going to be willing to make up that difference either.
So from the beginning, if I'm hearing you correctly, what a seller might want to do in developing a strategy for selling their home is get an idea from a realtor on what a lender will actually be willing to lend on the property. Not just what the market says a buyer's willing to pay, but also what a lender is willing to lend when that buyer comes with an offer, correct?
Yes, and that's one of the points, first of all, where a realtor can help you out greatly here by preparing a CMA on your home, see what homes are selling for in your area. And the lenders are going to be looking at these CMAs as well and to help determine a price that would be a good marketable price for your home.
All right, you mentioned a CMA, a comparative market analysis. What is that comparative market analysis? What do you look at for that? What is that telling a potential seller?
Well, when we prepare a CMA, we look at the current home and we take into account several factors such as number of bedrooms, bathrooms, the age of the home, how much land goes with the home, whether it's just a city lot, acreage, is it in a subdivision, and they're going to compare this with other homes of similar size and value to yours to help establish it. You know, a home on the west side of the lake here is not necessarily going to be of the same value of a comparable home on the east side of the lake. And this is a thing that a realtor can help you narrow down to properties that more fit closely with how yours is.
Okay, so with this market analysis, what it sounds like is you're looking at what similar properties have sold for. You're not doing an appraisal. An appraisal is a different valuation. They're looking for value, correct?
Correct. And we're going to get to the appraisal here in a minute. Okay. But this is more of it's not an exact, but it's a pretty close approximation of what you can comfortably expect to receive as offers on your home and for a lender to look as a price point that they would be willing to lend on your home.
So you're looking more through your comparative market analysis, your CMA, rather than what an appraiser would be looking at value. You're looking at what price do the current market trends reflect on your house?
Yes, and that's why it's very important we want to take into account what is on the market today. First of all, this is going to be your competition. You want to be competitive with your competition in your neighborhood and in your area, in your local MLS. But they're also going to look at what have homes recently sold for to see what to expect yours will sell for as well.
So it sounds like this is something as a seller that I would really want this comparative market analysis from my realtor up at the front, because it sounds like it can also be used on the other side. If I haven't seen these numbers, it's likely as other agents bring buyers and bring offers, those buyers have looked at a market analysis prepared by their realtor in order to pay an appropriate price for the house, correct?
That is correct. You know, they're always on their side of the coin. They're going to be looking for the best deal possible. And so that's where we're talking about being competitive. If everybody in your neighborhood is selling for around $300,000 and yours is selling for $400,000, it doesn't necessarily mean that your home will not sell, but it's going to greatly diminish your chances of getting it sold.
Sounds good. What's the next piece of the team strategy for getting a house sold?
The next thing would be once you come together as a buyer and seller and you establish your contract and you get a price point that you both agree on, most buyers are going to be looking to have an inspection done on the home. Make sure there's no big underlying problems that they're not going to be able to deal with down the road and everything that would fit in with their pricing as well. This is another thing about getting it priced appropriately. Some homes, just because they have little problems on them, does not necessarily mean that you cannot get lending on the home, but it could work with your price point there, either up or down. And so this is a good time to go around and pretend you're the buyer of your home. Start at your front door. Is your front door handle, is it loose when you're coming in? Lots of buyers are looking at this. Well, if the handle's broken, what's wrong with the rest of the house? Mm-hmm. And so little things like that, your drawers, is there tears in the carpet? Is there cracks in the walls? There's some of these things that a handy homeowner can take care of when getting their home ready to be on the market that will divert the eye of the buyer.
So as a seller, you'd mentioned that the buyer is likely to have their inspection. Mm-hmm. If I'm a seller wanting to put my property on the market, before I go around, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to fix this, would an inspector come out and inspect my house for me? Would I be able to hire the inspector so that I can get his opinion and then fix things according to that list? Is that something an inspector would do for me also as a seller?
That is a great idea, and they are willing to do this as well. The same inspectors that are looking at it for a buyer can also look at it for the seller as well. They can come in and evaluate your home for you. Some people, this inspection, it does cost you generally a few $100s to have it done on your property, but that few $100 that inspection can save you in the long run. It could save you thousands of dollars, or could gain you thousands of dollars on the sale price.
Yeah, because when I go to do my repairs, I'm actually repairing things that both will appeal to the buyer aesthetically, but also may help keep foreseeable problems coming up with the lending in the future.
Yes, like I said, these little things, whenever you have the buyer come in for their inspection later on, if they're already taken care of, then they're not going to be there for the buyer's inspector to find later.
Sounds great. What's the next vendor you have on the list?
Our next vendor that usually comes up in this process is a surveyor. Many great local surveyors around here. When you're selling your property, you're selling an actual amount. We give lots of approximations when we're in the sale process, but as a buyer, they want to buy an exact property. They want to know, where are the corners of my property? And that's a thing that a surveyor can help you establish these boundaries. And just like in the buying process, a seller can have this survey done before getting their home on the market as well.
Yeah, we ran into an issue this last week dealing with, here on Cedar Creek Lake, we have the 325 flood line, and we actually ran into this issue. We were over talking to Buckley Butler over at Tarrant Regional Water District, and what we found out with this 325 line, because we had a property that the previous house that was built prior to 1988, but was built over that flood line. Well, since that house had been built at that time, Tarrant Regional would have sold that property, the footprint of that house, to them. But before they bought that piece of property, that house was torn down and a new house was built in its place, and now they won't sell that piece of land. It's on a 99-year lease program. That's just the rules and regulations of the lake. But a survey might have come in handy with this, because now that 325 line comes up through the middle of the house. Mm-hmm. And so even though Tarrant Regional is leasing the land, that can cause a title issue, correct?
It can, because from now on, the buyer can never permanently own that piece of the structure or that piece of the land. They could build on another part of the property, and they are allowed to still have their home. Tarrant County they're very good about working with the local residents here, but they can only have it on a lease from now on. Anything built after 1988 has to be sure that you are not over that 325 line. And that's where a survey could come into effect good for a seller, is you can go ahead and take care of a few of these problems before you get into the sale process.
So if I'm looking to come down here to Cedar Creek Lake and build myself a new house, well, there's only so many lots. Well, I find a nice place, but it has, say, like an old 1960s, 1970s cabin that I'm just going to scrape to the ground. The way it sounds is it'd probably be a good idea to get that surveyed. So if I need to purchase a piece of property from Tarrant Regional before I tear it down, I'll know that. My surveyor will show me that on their map and notes they draw for me.
There is that chance. It's not that prevalent, but no. There are some homes that back in the early days of the lake, people bought a lot and they built a house just wherever they thought looked aesthetically the best.
Yeah, it's nothing to be super scared of, but it is something to know the facts about the property before I buy it. I want to have that survey so I know where the property begins and ends that I'm paying this money for.
Yes, and it's not just the older homes. There have been some newer homes that have been built over this line as well. So it's a good idea to establish. I can think of another case we had a few months ago where the property was being sold, and the people that owned the property well before there was ever even a lake thought of here. Mm-hmm. Well, over the years, a neighbor had put their mobile home onto their property. Mm-hmm. And of course, we managed to be able to clean this up very well, and the neighbor was able to move their mobile home and establish their surveyor lines. But if they'd known about this earlier, before they had got into the contract phase, it could have saved them lots of time and been able to clear up this issue rather than dragging out closing at the title.
Okay, that sounds good. So we see the value in a lender, and an inspector, and a surveyor. You got next on your list an appraiser. We'd mentioned the appraiser before. Real quick, what does an appraiser do?
An appraiser is usually set forth by the lending companies. Now, you can hire your own appraiser if you would like to come out. They can give you an actual value of your home. These are the numbers that the lenders are really going to stick with. But
So what an appraiser is giving is they're giving an opinion of value where you, with your comparative market analysis, are looking at market trends and giving a price based on those market trends.
that is correct.
Okay. So what's our next vendor?
The next part of the process would be after all these great vendors have performed their duties, and you get to where the title company is finishing up collecting all of their paperwork and putting everything together, getting ready for the transfer of the deed. One thing that the sellers do not realize, going back to the beginning of the contract, is that you have a right to choose the title company as well. Most of the time, a buyer writes an offer, and they will pick a title company of their choice. It may be the favorite title company they worked with many times, or just the first one they pulled out of the phone book. We never know. But in that regard, as a seller, sometimes you may have one that you've worked more with. Maybe when you purchased the home, you purchased at a great local title company here, and so they know more about your property. And you do have the opportunity, as one of your negotiating factors, to be able to change which title company you would like to use as well to perform these duties.
Okay. Well, what it sounds like is you got several different vendors and lenders here. And as a real estate agent, these are each different licenses. These are each different duties that you can help steer people through this. But these are different team players, and each one does their part. You do your part as a realtor, the lender does, the appraiser, the surveyor, the inspector, the title company. And as a real estate professional, you seem to be kind of the linchpin that coordinates it, kind of like the maestro on the symphony a lot of the times on this.
Yeah, I don't just wave my hands for no reason.
Okay, so that seems great. You also brought some properties with you this morning, correct?
Yeah, we have a few different great local properties here. The first one I want to talk about is a good commercial opportunity. And one good thing about this one is, I think, me personally, I would get in my car and I would go drive by and check this property out. But if you'd like to get a little better angle at it, get in your personal plane and fly over and look at it. It's located right there next to the Gun Barrel City Air Park. It's at 1223 Harbor Point Road in Gun Barrel. It's actually just outside of the Gun Barrel city limits, located in Henderson County, which is a good thing for this business. Anybody that owns businesses around know that cities have different regulations than the counties do. So that may be something to check into if you're looking to open up a little business around here. It was formerly a bistro, kind of you could get some wine. They had a great coffee shop there, great for lunches. I know everybody around here, my wife included, love to go there and have lunch. But the restaurant is still fully furnished. It's got the tables and the chairs, along with a lot of the equipment and even some of the supplies. So it's ready to go. You could come in and buy it today and open up this afternoon.
So drive in or fly in.
Drive in and fly in and look at this great deal. It's also got, in case you want to hold some little parties, maybe have some meeting areas, not just in the busy lunch area. It's got 2 private party meeting rooms to the side that could be used for them types of gatherings. It's got a fireplace with it coming on the cold weather. That'll help keep nice and toasty in there as well.
Coffee by the fire is always a nice thing.
That's what I dream of every winter. But it's got on the back side of it, it's got a screened outdoor covered dining room with a wonderful view of the air park here. So you can sit and drink your coffee and watch the planes fly in.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, or if you're up, maybe in the Dallas area, fly your plane in to have a coffee on the porch near the lake here. One good thing about it is it does have the city water and sewer, but not the city regulations here in Gun Barrel City.
So just county.
Just county there.
Okay.
And that one's going for $225,000.
That seems like a great value right there.
Yes, sir. I do believe
If you're looking for a good commercial venture around the lake area, I think that one's a good one to go check out. We also have one right over here in Athens at 8207 South Highway 19. It's going for $325,000. It's 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bath, 2-car garage, brick home. It sits on about 6 acres, wood-burning fireplace, chain-link yard, pipe fence, great pasture. The hay crop on this thing, it just looks fantastic out there. Has a pond, metal barn with electricity out to it. It has a propane heated pool, in-ground pool, and hot tub. So that's going to be nice. You can fire that thing up during the winter and still
I've
go
never
for a
personally
dip.
heard of the propane heated pool, but it sounds wonderful this time of year.
I've never heard of that either.
Yeah, but they got the propane tank out there. I tell you what, if pool was at my house that was propane heated, I'd be out there all winter. It'd just be one giant hot tub.
To me, it sounds a lot safer than the other option of electricity and water. But
Dipping the old water heater element down into the pool probably ain't the most safest thing out there. So this property here has all the Athens charm coupled with an East Texas farm.
yeah, I say it's a lovely property. 2 stories and that 2-car carport that's an enclosed 2-car garage.
Yeah.
It's got 2 separate entrances, makes it very accessible, just south of Athens, close to their great local shopping and the hospital there.
Yeah, and when you go see this, be sure you go south of Athens on Highway 19. If you follow your Google or MapQuest, it's going to take you north of Athens on 19. So be sure you're south of Athens whenever you go to look for this one.
Yeah, we've already checked out Google on that one for you there.
Yeah, so, what's our next property here?
We've got one over here in Trinidad. This is in the Malakoff School District. Still a very sought-after school district.
Go Tigers.
Yes, there's just not enough properties to go around to get your kids in over there right now. It's at 124 Cedar Bend in Trinidad. It's going for $175,000. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage. Has 1,560 square feet. 290 feet of waterfront on this property for only $175,000.
That sounds like a great deal if you're wanting to get on the water today. So, finishing up for today, you had one more final thing about growing your business here at the lake.
If you're looking to grow your local business, we mentioned a few of the different local vendors that we work with. If you're looking to get your name maybe on the list, or if you have any questions about any of these local vendors and need some help locating them, just give us a call at 903-887-7055. And one of our wonderful agents there at Coldwell Banker would be glad to assist you with that.
What's that number one more time?
It's 903-887-7055.
And how would they get a hold of you, Brett?
If you need to personally get a hold of me anytime, you can contact me on my cell at 903-340-6301 or my email at lbrettkillian@gmail.com.
Wonderful. And my name's Shai. I'm there with Coldwell Banker also. My phone number is 903-340-6159. So give one of us a call or one of our great agents there at Coldwell Banker, American Dream Realty, right there in the heart of Gun Barrel City, 903-887-7055.
Yeah, we appreciate you tuning in. If you didn't catch the whole show, catch us on our Facebook Live feed.
Sounds great.
All right, y'all have a good one.
All right, guys. I want to thank y'all for coming out. It's always